Good afternoon, and thanks a lot for coming over here. I know it's your lunchtime, and you have made an effort to come over here, and I hope I will make it worth for you. So in this session, we'll be discussing what are the efforts we are making to improve our tooling so that you can have a better experience around the application enablement. So let's get started on that part. It's not changing. Yeah. So before proceeding further, I just wanted to make a highlight of this section. So you might have already seen this page multiple times till now. So our vision is to make the IoT fast and easy for you. And for that, we are following a strategy of buy and build. We try to provide you those features which you can buy and directly start using and then help you to build your applications on top of it. And all our features, thought process is around this strategy. In the past 12 months, we are working on these three sections a lot, and these are the major highlights on which things we have been working upon. The first part of it is contributing to the buy strategy of ours, and that is we are developing the digital twin manager. Till date, you have been using your groups to model your hierarchies and set up your applications. Now we have introduced a concept of digital twin manager using which you can model your hierarchies, you can define your proper asset models, you can create your specific asset properties and then model the whole hierarchy over here. This provides you a better chance of modeling the assets and then connecting it with your different third-party systems, ERPs, CRM. I would also like to show you a very short demo of this so that I can explain it in a better way. Here is an application. You can see that this is an example of a vacuum manufacturer. In a general site of theirs, they have a lot of devices. Those devices are pumps, different cooling units, and a lot of other devices. Generally, the data which we are receiving on the Cumulocity are coming from the devices. But that's not always a true thing that you might be interested into the devices. You might be interested in the assets to which these devices are connected. In this case, that's a vacuum chamber. That vacuum chamber is having all these sensors and devices. But generally, you visualize the device, not the asset. But that's the final item in which your customer might be interested. So in this application, we will see how we have used Digital Twin Manager to collect this data and create a visualization for the vacuum chamber. So I'm first trying to explain a single part of that whole application. You had seen there was a production line into that image. So this single production line consists of multiple sensors. For an example, there are around 5 to 6 different pressures or different pressure sensors in each and every chambers. So in general, you get this parameter from all the devices, but you might not be interested in all these individual pressures. You might be interested into the average pressure of the whole chamber, or might be the maximum or the minimum. And hence, then when we model these assets using Digital Twin Manager, we can use streaming analytics to create, let's say, the average temperature of the whole asset level, or like of all the production lines. So in this case, you can see we are having the average pressure of the production line 1, similarly the temperature, and then the average power being consumed. And similarly, we can get the similar parameters for all different levels of the hierarchy. And once we have this, we get a proper visualization of the whole production line as well, and then the whole factory. So Digital Twin Manager helps you to visualize the whole stuff in a way that you can get a clear view of specific assets, not only the devices. And for creating this thing, we use this application, which is now available by default from 10.15 onwards, where you define your models. We start from the very bottom of the of your hierarchy, that we first create the all production lines, then the vacuum chamber, and then we assign all those devices to them. So we start by defining these things. So let me edit one of them. Over here, I am defining a line which consists of a vacuum chamber, and then we create a lot of properties over here. You can define any number of properties which you can either manually update, or you can update using some APIs. For an example, if you want to put the address to this line, or if you, let's say, want to put the who is a responsible person for managing this line, you can add similar kind of properties over here. In properties section, we are allowing, so the properties which were assigned to the assets can also be created from this section where you can define a lot of different type of properties. It can be a text, it can be a string, or it can be also a complex property. There are a number of different types available so that you can make use of all these different types. Like we are about to add a location property where you can also assign a location to the asset and then add these properties to the model. And once this is defined, then you can start creating assets. So once we have completed defining the whole model, we can simply come over here and start defining the assets. And to make it more easy for you, we have added features like you can bulk import, where you can import 1,000 of your assets in a single go onto the platform. And similarly, we are now allowing features to also bulk import your asset models or the properties. So this was one very specific, I'll say, important aspect for us to bring so that you can model your hierarchies properly and not get limited by the groups. Going back to the presentation. Yeah. The second important aspect of what we have been working upon in the last year is we are adding a lot of different features into the cockpit. With all the features, with all the feedback we have been receiving from you all in AHA and in the different conversations, we have been collecting them and trying to update our cockpit features. For an example, there has been a very long request from all our customers to allow showing dashboards on the basis of global roles, and which was added very recently. This now allows you to display the dashboards to specific users who have specific kind of a global role. So now you can limit the visibility of those things. Apart from this, a lot of visualization things have been covered. Like we have added a KPI widget, which now allows you to display very specific KPIs. It is also visibly very well into the mobile application, and similarly a markdown image. And apart from this, we have been upgrading all these widgets to Angular and improving their configurational settings so that you can customize them in a better way. And simultaneously, as we keep receiving more and more feedback, we try to incorporate those things onto our platform. And that has been a big amount of, let's say, investment we have been making so that you can use these to improve your experience of creating an application. Now coming to the another major section of the application enablement is the support for allowing to install UI plugins. So recently, from 10.16 onwards, we have enabled a feature known as extension packages. These extension packages are it can be used to extend functionalities of your platform. So let's take an example that you want to have a custom widget onto the platform, or let's say you might need a functionality which is not available on the platform. As of today, you might be creating your custom applications for that, but in cases where you don't need so much of customization, you can use plugins to extend the functionality of Cockpit. So instead of customizing the whole application, you can simply install a plugin and just get that functionality which is specific to your use case. So, and apart from this, in case if you want to deploy your whole application, we have introduced a concept of blueprint. Now let me show you how both of these work. From 10.16 onwards, you will in your application section in administration, you will notice this section packages over here. In this section, you will notice a lot of packages being displayed, which have been developed by our team members yet, and you can select any of them and try installing them. For an example, I can go to route tracker widget, and I can see what this plugin is used for, who has developed it, and what's the license available for this, and I can try installing it. I can install these plugins in any different sections of the platform. So the plugins are not limited only to the cockpit. If you need a plugin for device management or for any other section of the platform, you can also utilize the same. In this case, I will try to install this into the cockpit. And once this is installed, I will get a success message. Similarly, all the different plugins available over here can be utilized for the same. Just to give you a kind of a numbers, as of today, we have around 15 plugins in Cockpit. And on this side, we have already added around 30 to 35 plugins which are already available for you. You can access around 30 of them over here. And apart from this, you have an option of adding a package directly from here. So on the GitHub pages, if any developer has created a plugin, you can download the binary from there. You can also install it over here. As of today, these plugins are getting synced with our GitHub repository. So we have our GitHub repository where our team manage these things, and we can once we validate a plugin, we make it available for all the customers using these. So if any of our customer has contributed a plugin, or if you plan to contribute it in future, you will be able to directly use those plugins from here. This will help you to, let's say, minimize the time it requires for you to make your application. So if you think any plugin is not existing with Cumulocity, you can come on this section and try out if this plugin exists. With this, I also wanted to share one thing that in case you are having a management tenant and you do not want to share your plugin with other companies, but you want to share it with your subtenants. So we have also considered that, and we have provided a functionality to change the availability of the plugin. So if you have developed a plugin, let's say, which has a specific IP you don't want to share with others, you can directly share it with your subtenants over here and avoid sharing with others. This will also help you to properly distribute it to your specific customers. And one important update which we have done from 10.17 onwards on this is that we are now allowing you to also see the versions of the plugin. So if you, let's say, have 15 plugins and there is a new version of the plugin available, we'll be also displaying you that the plugin has gone outdated. We provide you a proper way where you can decide that you want to upgrade the version of the plugin, and you can upgrade this. At the moment, as the plugins are new, many of them will not have a new version, but as we proceed further, we think that a lot of time when we have an upgraded version of our Angular and other updates, we'll see new new versions of the plugins coming over. And this will help us to make sure that we are on the latest version and we can try out new functionalities. Apart from this, not only upgrade, we have also thought about the downgrading of this plugin. So if the latest version is not working and you want to downgrade back to the older one, you can simply come over here and downgrade that. And apart from that, then you can also use this to delete your plugins. So if in case you didn't like the plugin, you want to remove it from your system, you can simply select and then remove it from here. So these also have been added in 10.17 onwards. So this was all about the extensions part, where you are installing a specific plugin which only alters one part of the platform. In case if you have I will say an whole application, so we are calling it as a blueprint, which is combination of multiple functionalities. So here is I will say, sample blueprint which you can deploy as an application. In case if you have, let's say, a specific applications which you want to distribute to your customers, you can use this blueprint approach where you create a blueprint instead of an application, and which customers will then directly get over here, and they can distribute it. You can distribute it from here and they install it. One specific advantage of this approach is that we have provided a way of configuring the whole place over here. So let's say, once I deploy this application, you can onboard the customer in a proper way. So generally we receive such requests that my customer, let's say, do not want this section, do not want another section. So we can have a proper onboarding of the customer over here, and we can select what features we want to give to the customer and what not. So let's say if they want to edit the name of the application, they want to disable some of the specific sections, we can configure that and make it available to the user. So you can provide a proper onboarding experience to the user so that they can get their application in the way they want to visualize it. So as I have shown that we can create a lot of new plugins, applications, then also comes a general question to us always, that how can I do that? How can I create a plugin? For that, I'll take you to one of our articles on our website, We have properly covered the whole part over here in 4 parts. We have provided a GitHub library over here which contains a sample plugin. You can use this sample plugin to see how we have created a plugin and made it available on the platform. We are given a very detailed way in which we can create these plugins, like you need to install npm, then you need to configure it, and then you need to publish it. When you follow this step, you will be able to get a zip file, a binary file of the plugin, which can be then shared as with others and they can install it. In case you want to make it available directly to the customers, you need to submit this plugin to our GitHub library of community plugins, where our team validate those plugins and then make it available by default to the customers. Then those things are by default synced on all the public tenants and customers can install it over there. Till date, there has been a lot of widgets created by the customers, and we then also received a lot of queries around this thing that I have already created 5 widgets, 10 widgets, but now I want to convert them to plugins. So that's a very interesting topic to us, and hence our team has created a video around it. You can go through this and you can convert your existing widget. It will be very nice to see if you can convert and also share with other users so that others can also take a benefit from that. And nearly all the users we have met have at least created 15-20 specific widgets for their use cases. You can now convert those to plugins and directly start installing it from here. This will mean that you don't need to always go into the code and deploy an application. You can simply share the zip with others, or you can make it available via our GitHub repo, and then others can easily install them. Generally, when we try to share this approach with others, a lot of things are thought around widgets only, that, oh, I can now make new widgets and a lot of stuff. But with these examples, I want to share that this feature is not only limited to widgets. It can be utilized in a lot of other way. For an example, the Node-RED plugin is now also available in this format. Customers can now directly go over here and install the Node-RED plugin. Before this, they had to upload get the zip file, upload it. Now it's been made easier that once a plugin is available, user can simply install it over here. And now when we also ship any update to that, that will be also available by default over here. Apart from this, there was a very cool, I'll say, plugin created some time back in the last hackathon, which was around the device replacement widget. A lot of customers have in past requested us, is there any widget for replacing the devices? So that was made available as a plugin for the users. This needs an additional microservice which you can download and install, but the plugin is available and you can use this to replace your devices. Similarly, for device management, there is a plugin available using which you can have a MQTT mapping for your devices. So the use cases of the plugins are not only limited to the widgets. It can be utilized in device management. It can be utilized just to create some additional dashboard functionalities and many other things. You can explore these things, and I would be very happy if you can contribute back some plugins to us. And in case you also have some other queries to us, you can, let's say, raise queries on our Cumulocity community plugin section, which is available on Software AG GitHub page. Now, moving to the last part of the presentation, I also wanted to share that we have an integration service available. So whenever any of our customers are creating any application, a very obvious question comes to us that I want to now integrate this to my other application, my CRM, my ERP. So the data, if the data is only residing into the IoT application, it's not of much use. You need to connect it with your different applications. And most of the people who know this best, like where they need this data, how they want to make this data, are those people who don't know how to code. So it's not feasible for, or even if they know it, they don't have time for that. So for these people, we have a very powerful tooling, which is webmethods.io. Using this, it's a graphical based tool where you can configure the whole trigger mechanism, where you can see an input coming from web methods, and then according to your configuration, an action takes place. What can be these actions? If you want to, let's say, update any field in your ERP CRM, you can do that. If you want to raise any ticket on Zendesk, you can do that. If you need a message on Teams message, so whenever your system goes down, if you need a message on your Slack, Teams, you can do that. I'll also show you an example. So in this case, in this video, I have used a temperature simulator over here. So this simulator creates an alarm every 30 seconds. So just to show that we are getting those messages on our configured application, I've configured it in a way that I was receiving an alarm every 30 minutes. So for doing this, we'll go to our web methods and create a very fresh workflow. In web methods, we need to create the whole workflow where a trigger starts and then it follows a whole workflow. We have a Cumulocity trigger available into web methods. You can use this trigger to configure different type of events in web methods. For an example, if an alarm, an event, or measurement, and then you can connect it to your Cumulocity account. For this video, I had already pre-connected with my account with the web methods. At the moment, then we can select a device in web methods so that we can monitor events of that specific device. And once that trigger is set up, we can use any of these connectors to initiate a workflow. You can message it on your Slack channel or your Teams or your Zendesk, ServiceNow, or any other application you want. And it's very easy to configure. You can do it using the drag and drop tool. In this case, I'm using a Slack over here, and I will be posting message on a Slack channel. Once this configuration is done, it allows us to configure all different parts of this specific connector. For example, in this case, I will need to post a message to my Slack channel in the alarms channel, but then I also need to configure what all data I want to push over there. Do I want to just send the name of the alarm? Do I need to send the severity of the alarm? Do I need to send any specific number of the alarm? So this can do that. You can simply use the fields to configure them, and it's totally drag and drop. The first part shows you the items which are available into our first trigger, and then the second part you can configure all of them and where you want to send those things and what all things you want to cover over there. And so once you configure these things, we can start this workflow, and then it will continuously start monitoring the specific device and start sending those things to you. So for example, in this case, once I enable my specific simulator, it will start sending alarm over here, as I had configured it for 30 seconds. You can see as we started the simulator, it has initiated an alarm over here, and this should have already reached to the Slack channel. And it's not only limited to these things. If you want to make any specific actions available, let's say you want to update severity of any alarm, you want to do anything other specific, you can use any of these things, and it's unlimited. You have, let's say, so many connectors available over here for any application. And in case that connector is not available, there are REST APIs available using which you can connect it to any application. So it's not only limited to those connectors as well. And one last thing which I wanted to share over here was, we have been meeting a lot of customers in past days, and we have been receiving a lot of ideas, but we noticed that a lot of these ideas do not reach us. And for this, we have been actively using this idea portal, where a lot of customers are already contributing ideas to us. So as you guys are already involved into making a lot of applications, I would really request, if in case if you have any ideas around these things, you can start contributing these ideas over here. Once you contribute these ideas over here, generally make sure we provide you a response within 2 weeks. And apart from that, a lot of ideas are also visible to other customers. And in case if they have some common use cases, they can share over here. This really helps us to prioritize the things we are trying to make for you and to make your experience around application enablement much better. So that was it from my side today.
Any questions? Oh yeah, there's a lot of questions. Okay.
Thank you very much. Very packed. I think there were four different presentations in just one.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Regarding the plugins, can I also activate some microservices there?
At the moment, plugins are not allowed for the microservices. In future, we definitely look forward to doing that. At the moment, it's manual. You need to upload it separately into the microservices section.
Okay. And the Node-RED instance, for example,
We have to upload a separate microservice for that. This enables the front-end part of it. The back-end, the microservice still needs to be added.
Okay. And regarding the business model and the pricing behind it, if I activate something of that, is the is there something?
If they are creating any measurements, only then. If they are not, then there is no cost to it.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you very much. And one more question regarding the device. No, what was the name? The digital twin?
Digital twin manager.
Yeah. How do you calculate the averages?
We are using streaming analytics now. From 10.17 onwards, the analytics builder supports assets. Before this, if you are using, you can use the EPL, but from 10.17, you have an easy to use UI where you can select the asset. When you are selecting the asset, you mention a fragment and it takes all those parameters from all the devices assigned to the whole asset line. So let's say if I select product line 1 and I say I need this fragment, it averages out available like that fragment from all the devices. So you don't need to select one by one, you just need to mention that you want it from one production line and it does all that.
But you would need to activate streaming analytics there into the
Yes,
analytics
yes.
builder.
It will require it.
Okay. Because our customers, for example, don't have the analytics builder. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, very good.
So very good demo and presentation.
Thank
You for that. It's really interesting also for us. For me, just to give you one of our use cases. So basically, we build a lot of dashboards, and every time we have to start from scratch. With the plugins now, if I understand correctly, we can actually split it, because more or less it's copy-paste, the dashboards. Huh?
Yes.
So we can create actually plugins and then include that into the new dashboard, so to say.
Yes.
That would be possible.
Yes.
That's really good. That's really good. And the second part is regarding the Node-RED, like workflow you showed. Is it possible, for example, to check specific device configuration and raise alarms, for example, to teams and so on? Is that, it goes into that level?
Yeah, I'll need to validate that, but I think it's a very interesting use case for us to also explore.
Yeah. That would be really interesting for us, really, really helpful. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We'll get back to you on that point. I'll validate that once. Yeah.
More questions?
So one problem that we have seen with our customers, they are not very satisfied with, let's say, how the plugins are interconnected with each other. So a very good example is you have to define the time range for every widget, for every widget separately. So with the plugins now, is there a way to have like an information sharing between the different widgets?
With the extension of our cockpit features, we have recently planned to add a global time selector. I think you will be able to see that from 10.19 onwards, that you have a global time selector, and all other plugins will need to configure a date time select with the time selector, and then you will be able to achieve that. So then you will have an option at the very top, and once you change the date, all the plugins will also update with the same date.
But that's the time. Other metrics or other things like, I don't know, activate, deactivate something?
No, at the moment it's going to only cover the date and time over there, and because each and every plugin will have different options, you might have different parameters in all of them. And like, let's say if you want to see average at some place, sum at one place, max at one place, so that's why those options will not be available globally, only date and time will be there.
But then differently, I will ask different, can one plugin set parameters for other plugins?
Okay, I will need to validate that, but that can be also an interesting use case to see if we can have a configurational widget which allows to set for all other plugins. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's going on in the mobile application world?
So we have recently introduced an alarm management application over there. We have seen a lot of customers who are mostly interested into looking into the alarms of the devices. So we have added that application. And as we have also heard that all the customers always have a very unique set of requirements for mobile applications, especially the branding part. So all the customers want the application to be in their branding. And that's why we have made it available as an open source. So you can download the whole code of the application, you can modify it as per your requirement, you can change the branding of the application and then use that. And at the moment, it's only available for iOS, and Android is going to be launched in end of this month or next month, and that will be also available as an open source.
Thank you. I have an additional question to the mobile app, because we have a customer who wants to translate the alarm messages. Okay. And as I understand it for now, it's only possible when you rebuild the whole app to translate the alarm messages, and when they dynamically add different alarm messages, in Cumulocity, it's this pod file mechanism where you'd have to add it, and then you additionally have to rebuild the app with the additional translation. Is this correct? Or are there plans to?
The first course seems true to me, that we'll need to add some translational level layer over there which translates the whole alarm. But I will also need to check if you can directly create the alarm in that language. So that can be also one option which we can explore.
Yeah, but sometimes the tenants are used by multiple languages.
Okay. I think then it will make sense to add a translational layer in the application which translates that instead of doing anything on the platform side. So that will need to be built into the application itself.
Yeah, and what I would like as a feature there is to have it as the same translation in the Cumulocity platform and in the app, so that you don't have to change it on both separately.
I think there is already a translation service on the platform where you have the file where the translations are already mentioned, but I think that the alarm text and everything also need to be added on those translation files so that it can translate. And then we can explore utilizing the same file in the application.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I'll try to check more about this with my team and get back to you on that.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Very exciting stuff. Thank you, Rahul.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thank you everyone.